In the pursuit of connection, admiration, and human companionship, there are many ways we express our appreciation for one another, but there are also ways that can lead to outcomes neither desired nor respectful, especially when driven by flattery or superficial praise. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded to focus on what is virtuous, what is in our control, and what is grounded in reason. Today I will explore the 3 forbidden compliments that can lead a woman to chase like never before, but not because of genuine affection or admiration. These are not the compliments we should aim for, yet they hold an undeniable power, one that can be understood and mastered from a Stoic perspective. 1. The compliment that diminishes her autonomy. The first forbidden compliment is the one that suggests she is defined by her relationship with others. A comment such as, "You're nothing without him," or "You wouldn't be who you are without your connection to me," implies that her value is tied to someone else, making her feel smaller and dependent. In Stoicism, we believe that true virtue lies within the individual, and it is the cultivation of one's own mind and actions that define the person, not the external world or the connections they maintain. A woman, or anyone for that matter, who seeks validation from others based on external dependencies is only fostering a false sense of worth. To chase this approval is to neglect the power that lies within her own control, her thoughts, decisions, and the virtues she practices each day. A Stoic would never seek this kind of validation, because it would be to sacrifice her autonomy and integrity. The true value of a person lies in their own capacity to act rightly, independent of the opinions of others. 2. The compliment that reduces her complexity. The second forbidden compliment is the one that oversimplifies her existence, reducing her to a mere object of desire. Compliments like, "You're so beautiful, it's all I can see," are dangerous because they ignore the depth and complexity of her being. By focusing solely on external appearance, we reduce her to a fleeting trait, something that she has no control over and can easily fade with time. Stoicism teaches us that external appearances are subject to change, and beauty, as we often define it, is neither constant nor reliable. It is the inner character, the virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance that are worth admiring. If a compliment focuses only on externalities, it entices the person to seek approval based on something fleeting and uncontrollable. A Stoic, however, seeks admiration for inner virtue, for the integrity of one's actions, and the consistency of one's values. Only in this way can we avoid the cycle of superficial pursuit and live in alignment with what truly matters. 3. The compliment that promises perfection. Lastly, there is the compliment that promises something unattainable, the one that suggests she is flawless or above reproach. A compliment like, "You're perfect, there's nothing wrong with you," entices a woman to chase a dream of perfection, an ideal that will never be realized. Stoicism teaches us the importance of embracing our faults and imperfections. To live virtuously is to acknowledge our faults, accept them, and strive to improve, not to seek an impossible standard of perfection. To chase perfection is to constantly run away from the very nature of being human. We are all, by our nature, imperfect. The Stoic does not seek to be flawless, but to live a life of continuous improvement. Therefore, to be appreciated for one's imperfections, the very essence of one's humanity, is to find peace in the understanding that life is not about achieving perfection, but about living with integrity, truth, and virtue. So, what does a Stoic seek when offering or receiving a compliment? A Stoic seeks the recognition of virtue, the admiration of inner strength, wisdom, and courage. The true compliment lies not in flattery that fades with time, but in the acknowledgement of the enduring qualities that define the essence of who we are. If we are to admire someone, let it be for their ability to face adversity with grace, to make virtuous choices even in difficult circumstances, and to live with an open heart, free from the chase of approval or perfection. May we learn to cultivate compliments that are grounded in virtue, not in fleeting admiration, and may we always remember that the true measure of a person is not in what others see, but in what they choose to be, in the face of all that life offers. In a world that often prioritizes external appearances and material success, the notion of inner virtue holds profound significance. Stoicism, a philosophy that traces its roots to ancient Greece, has long emphasized the importance of focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, rather than the fleeting and uncontrollable aspects of life. This view is essential in understanding why we must value inner virtue over external flattery, the search for external validation. The constant desire for compliments that praise our looks, wealth, or status can often lead to a hollow sense of self-worth. In contrast, when we cultivate inner virtue, we build a foundation for lasting fulfillment and peace that cannot be swayed by the winds of external approval. External flattery in its many forms has a powerful allure. Compliments that praise one's physical appearance, status, or possessions are often enticing, as they give us a temporary sense of being admired or desired. But this type of validation is shallow. It is built on what can be lost, what is transient, and what lies beyond our control. Physical beauty fades with time. Material wealth can be lost, and even our social status is never entirely secure. When we allow our self-worth to be shaped by such external factors, we risk living in a state of constant insecurity, always chasing the next compliment, the next approval, or the next external marker of success. Stoicism teaches us that these pursuits, while not inherently wrong, should not be the foundation of our happiness or sense of self. They are ephemeral, and relying on them to define us leads to a fragile existence. A woman who constantly seeks external compliments about her appearance, for instance, may find herself caught in a cycle of comparison. She may compare herself to others, measuring her worth by how closely she conforms to society's narrow ideals of beauty. This cycle is exhausting and ultimately unsatisfying. No matter how many compliments she receives, the validation is never enough to fill the void. The reason is simple. Her sense of worth is based on something that is, by nature, fleeting. Beauty, as the world defines it, is impermanent. Age, circumstances, and time can all change what others perceive as beautiful. In this context, seeking compliments based on appearance alone becomes a fruitless endeavor. It is an endeavor rooted in something external, something beyond her control. On the other hand, when we focus on cultivating inner virtue, qualities such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we are no longer dependent on external forces for validation. Stoicism teaches that true contentment and happiness come not from the approval of others, but from living in accordance with reason and virtue. To live virtuously is to align our actions with what is just and true, regardless of how others perceive us or what compliments they offer. It is an internal process, not one that requires external validation. A woman who practices wisdom, for example, is guided by reason and sound judgment, making decisions that reflect her highest principles. Her value is not contingent on the opinions of others, but on her ability to live in accordance with her own rational understanding of what is good and right. Virtue also fosters a sense of resilience. When our worth is tied to inner qualities, we are less affected by the ebb and flow of external opinions. If a woman is praised for her appearance, She may feel a momentary boost in confidence, but she will not be dependent on that praise to feel good about herself. If she is criticized or ignored, she will not crumble, because her sense of self is rooted in something deeper. Her value is not determined by what others think of her, but by how she lives her life and the choices she makes. This is the strength that comes from a life led by virtue. A woman who values inner virtue over external flattery is resilient in the face of adversity. She is not swayed by the opinions of others, nor is she reliant on the external approval that comes from superficial compliments. Moreover, the cultivation of inner virtue leads to true connection. When we focus on our inner qualities, we engage with the world in a more meaningful way. Our relationships are no longer based on superficial markers of success or appearance, but on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine understanding. A woman who is valued for her wisdom, kindness, and integrity attracts relationships that are built on a foundation of substance. These relationships are not fragile. They are grounded in trust, respect, and admiration for the person as a whole, rather than for her external traits or accomplishments. This is the type of connection that brings fulfillment and joy, as it is not based on the transitory approval of others, but on a deep appreciation for the person's character. The pursuit of inner virtue also leads to greater self-awareness and self-acceptance. When we focus on cultivating our inner qualities, we become more attuned to our true selves. We are less concerned with how others perceive us and more focused on how we perceive ourselves. This process of self-reflection allows us to understand our strengths and weaknesses, to acknowledge our imperfections, and to work toward becoming the best version of ourselves. A woman who values inner virtue is not concerned with projecting an idealized image to the world. She is focused on living authentically, on being true to her values and principles. She understands that perfection is not the goal, growth and improvement are. By embracing this mindset, she frees herself from the pressures of external expectations and opens herself up to the possibility of genuine happiness. In Stoicism, the concept of the dichotomy of control is central. We are encouraged to focus on what is within our control and to accept what is not. External compliments, praise, or criticism are outside of our control. They are dependent on the subjective opinions of others, and they can change from one moment to the next. What is within our control, however, is how we respond to these external forces and, more importantly, how we live our lives. We have the power to choose our actions, our values, and the way we engage with the world. When we focus on what we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, we can find peace and fulfillment that is not dependent on the approval of others. This Stoic mindset encourages us to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is rooted in something far more enduring than external flattery. It teaches us to value the things that truly matter: our inner character, our integrity, our wisdom, and our ability to live in accordance with reason. When we align ourselves with these virtues, we no longer need external compliments to validate our existence. We no longer need to chase approval or seek constant validation from others. Instead, we find fulfillment in the knowledge that we are living in alignment with our highest principles. The pursuit of inner virtue is not an easy one. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and a commitment to personal growth. But the rewards are immeasurable. When we value inner virtue over external flattery, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of seeking approval from others. We embrace the power of our own agency, our ability to shape our lives, and our sense of self. Regardless of the external circumstances, we create a life that is grounded in meaning and purpose, not in the transient and ever-changing opinions of others. In the end, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that true happiness and fulfillment come from within. When we cultivate inner virtue, we build a foundation for lasting contentment that is not dependent on external factors.